building muscle, is one of the most common goals for people who start training. Whether you want to look more athletic, feel stronger, or improve your overall health, hypertrophy training is the method that focuses directly on increasing muscle size. For beginners, the process can seem confusing with all the conflicting advice out there: high reps versus low reps, free weights versus machines, short rests versus long rests. The truth is, hypertrophy training is both science and practice, and when you understand the basics, it becomes much simpler. Hypertrophy is the process of muscle fibers growing larger as a result of consistent resistance training combined with proper recovery and nutrition. Unlike pure strength training, which focuses mainly on lifting the heaviest weights possible for very low reps, hypertrophy training targets the optimal range for muscle growth. The good news for beginners is that the early stages of training are when your body responds fastest, so you can make noticeable gains in a relatively short time if you train correctly. The science behind muscle growth: when you lift weights or perform resistance training, you create tiny amounts of damage in your muscle fibers. This is not harmful, in fact, it is essential. Your body responds by repairing these fibers, making them thicker and stronger to handle the stress in the future. Over time, this repeated cycle of stress and recovery leads to larger muscles. The main drivers of hypertrophy are mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and muscle damage. Mechanical tension comes from lifting challenging weights. Metabolic stress is the build-up of byproducts like lactic acid during intense training, which creates that familiar burning sensation in your muscles. Muscle damage refers to the microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. A well-designed program uses a balance of all three to maximize growth. Training volume, intensity, and frequency. For beginners, the most important factor for muscle growth is training volume, which is the total amount of work your muscles perform. Volume is often measured as sets multiplied by reps multiplied by weight. Studies show that a moderate volume of around 10 to 20 working sets per muscle group per week is effective for hypertrophy. Intensity refers to how heavy the weight is compared to your maximum ability. For muscle growth, working in the range of 60 to 85% of your 1 rep max is generally ideal. This often means performing 6 to 15 reps per set. If the weight is so light that you can easily do more than 20 reps, it is probably too light for optimal hypertrophy. If you can only do 2 or 3 reps, that is more in the strength training range. Frequency is how often you train a muscle group each week. For most beginners, training each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week yields better results than just once. Full body workouts or upper-lower splits are perfect for beginners because they allow frequent stimulation without overtraining. Choosing the right exercises to maximize your time and results. Start with compound exercises that work multiple muscles at once. These include squats for quads, hamstrings, and glutes, deadlifts for hamstrings, glutes and back, bench press for chest, shoulders, and triceps, pull-ups or lat pull-downs for lats and biceps, overhead press for shoulders and triceps, rows for upper back and biceps. These compound movements create a strong base of strength and muscle mass. You can then add isolation exercises to target specific muscles like bicep curls, tricep pushdowns, lateral raises, and calf raises. For beginners, a mix of both ensures balanced development. The rep and set range for beginners, a good starting point for hypertrophy, is 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps for most exercises. This range is heavy enough to stimulate growth, but light enough to allow good form and control. For isolation exercises, you can go slightly higher, around 10 to 15 reps, because they place less stress on your joints. As you progress, you can vary your rep ranges to challenge your muscles in different ways. For example, you might do 6 to 8 reps for heavy compound lifts and 12 to 15 reps for lighter accessory work. Rest periods between sets. Rest is another factor that affects muscle growth. For compound lifts, resting 1.5 to 3 minutes between sets allows you to recover enough to perform well in the next set. For isolation exercises, 30 to 90 seconds is usually enough. Shorter rest times can increase metabolic stress, but if you shorten them too much, your performance may drop, and you will not lift enough weight to trigger growth. Progressive overload, the heart of hypertrophy. No matter how good your program is, you will not keep growing unless you progressively overload your muscles. This means gradually increasing the demands you place on them. You can do this by adding more weight, doing more reps with the same weight, adding more sets, slowing down the movement to increase time under tension for beginners. Small improvements each week add up quickly. Even adding 1 or 2 reps to an exercise before increasing weight can make a big difference over time. The role of nutrition in hypertrophy. You cannot build muscle without giving your body the nutrients it needs. Protein is the most important nutrient for muscle growth because it provides the building blocks for repairing and growing muscle fibers. Aim for 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. Sources include chicken, fish, eggs, lean beef, Greek yogurt, and plant-based options like lentils and tofu. Carbohydrates provide energy for your workouts, so do not neglect them. Whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and starchy foods like potatoes are excellent choices. Healthy fats from sources like nuts, olive oil, and avocado are essential for hormone function. If your goal is hypertrophy, you should be eating in a slight calorie surplus, enough to fuel muscle growth, but not so much that you gain excessive fat. Around 200 to 300 calories above your maintenance level is a good starting point. The importance of recovery. Your muscles grow when you rest, not when you train. Without adequate recovery, you will not see results, no matter how hard you work in the gym. Beginners should aim for at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Active recovery, like light walking or stretching on rest days, can help keep your muscles loose and improve circulation. It is also important to manage overall stress. High stress levels increase cortisol, which can interfere with muscle growth and recovery. Simple stress management techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or even just taking regular breaks during the day can help. Common beginner mistakes to avoid. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is lifting too heavy too soon. This often leads to poor form, increased injury risk, and slower progress. Focus on mastering technique before loading up the weights. Another mistake is changing programs too often. Beginners sometimes jump from one workout plan to another before giving the first one time to work. Stick with a program for at least 8 to 12 weeks before making major changes. Neglecting nutrition is another common problem. If you are not eating enough protein or total calories, your muscles will not have what they need to grow. Lastly, many beginners underestimate the importance of rest and try to train hard every day. This often leads to overtraining, fatigue, and even burnout. Sample beginner hypertrophy program. Here is a simple 3-day full-body routine that works well for beginners. Day 1, squat, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Bench press, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Bent over row, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Dumbbell shoulder press, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. Bicep curl, 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Tricep push down, 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Day 2 deadlift, 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps. Pull-ups or lat pull down, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Dumbbell incline press, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Leg press, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. Lateral raises, 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Plank, 3 sets of 30 to 60 seconds. Day 3 front squat or goblet squat, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Overhead press, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Seated cable row, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Romanian deadlift, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Hammer curl, 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Cable face pull, 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Rest at least 1 day between sessions. You can perform this program on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, or any setup that allows recovery. Tracking progress to ensure you are moving in the right direction. Track your workouts. Write down the exercises, sets, reps, and weights for each session. This makes it easier to apply progressive overload and see where you are improving. Also, take progress photos and measurements every few weeks. Sometimes muscle growth is not obvious in the mirror right away, but changes in measurements or strength will reveal your progress. Hypertrophy training is not complicated, but it does require consistency and patience. As a beginner, your body will adapt quickly if you train with good form, eat properly, and allow for recovery. Avoid chasing quick fixes or extreme programs and focus instead on steady progress. If you found this guide helpful and want more in-depth tips on training and nutrition, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We post clear, practical advice to help you reach your fitness goals without confusion. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and start building the physique you want today.